What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, host of our weekly live shows here. We break down the latest around your favorite football team, and we got a massive matchup this weekend heading into the Detroit Lions game. We got a lot to break down today. We're going to be talking about some trade rumors, some injury updates, also Stephen A. Smith, Chris Carter. They chimed in on our Minnesota Vikings, so I want to share that with you guys. But let's start it off here. If you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Detroit Lions this Sunday, just give me a SKOL down below in the comment section. We'll give you guys a shout out. Shout out to JJ in the chat, Rocky, Wayne Davis, all of the real ones in the building. I appreciate you guys tuning in. SKOL Pat, SKOL Rocky, SKOL Pat Dad in the building as well. Shout out to you. Ashante in the building. Tom Lyles, Killer Gorilla in the building. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Same with Forrest. Shout out to you. I appreciate it. Yeah, big-time game this weekend. We got to talk about some injury updates, as it's not looking like Blake Cashman will be out there this weekend, which is obviously a big-time blow. But with the way Camus Grugier-Hill has played, like, if there's a position we could lose a guy, I feel like it is a linebacker. Because also you have the safety versatility with a guy like Metellus can come play in the box. Harrison Smith can come play some, makeshift linebacker for this Flores defense. But, Cashman, he's a guy that wears the green dot. And he is dealing with turf toe. So, that's going to be an injury we have to follow. And even they're keeping his status in question for the Week 8 game versus the Los Angeles Rams. So that's going to be a tough one, no doubt. Losing Blake Cashman definitely hurts. But that's kind of the biggest report we've gotten. And then also, Kevin O'Connell, I listened to his press conference earlier today, and he was talking about TJ Hockenson. And he didn't sound too confident in him going. He said he looks great. He said his body's in great shape, but he also just kept on mentioning there is a lot of football left to be played. And he reiterated that multiple times. So I almost felt like O'Connell was kind of bracing Vikings fans for TJ Hockenson being ruled out, which, will obviously be very, very disappointing. But, we'll dive into that on today's show, obviously, and then we'll talk about some trade rumors, Dexter Lawrence, Jeffery Simmons, all these big-time defensive linemen that I know you Vikings fans want them to obviously go out and get. But before we dive into that, I do want to give a big shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Game Time. If you guys download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, you guys will get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Tickets for the Lions game this weekend are very, very expensive. So you guys want to help yourself out, you download the Game Time app, use promo code ChatSports on your first purchase, and you guys will actually get $20 off. But I also got to give a massive shout out to Prize Picks, as they're sponsoring today's live show as well. And if you guys download the Prize Picks app and sign up today, you guys will get $50 instantly when you play just $5. Best part is you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Now, they actually have a deal going on right now for our very own Anthony Edwards opening night, and only 1 point gets you 1 win. So if you guys want to add that to your lineup, download Prize Picks, use that promo code CLNS, and you guys will get $50 instantly when you sign up today. And you only need to play $5. And the best part is you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. But run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Shout out to them for sponsoring today's live show. But let me ask you guys this. Who is the biggest X factor for the Minnesota Vikings this weekend? Now, I think shout out to Tex. He came up to this one. I think with Blake Cashman being ruled out, I think Grugier-Hill obviously moves up that pecking order. I think a guy like Ivan Pace moves up that pecking order as well. And then you also think of Josh Metellus, Harrison Smith. Will those guys, play more play more shift linebacker this weekend? I'm assuming so. But also, I got to go with my man Jordan Addison. And I see Caleb Hammer in the chat saying that as well. I think Jordan Addison is setting himself up for a big-time game. I think, the Lions understand how much Jefferson has killed them in the past. He's averaging over 130 yards per game against Detroit. I'm sure they're going to do whatever they can to take him away. They'll have Carlton Davis follow him. They'll do the whole nine. But, I'm definitely trying to – Yep. That's annoying. Yeah, but name that X Factor for me down below in the comments section. Williams going Will the Thrill. Shout out to Will the Thrill. Yeah, Will is I think he's one of 3 kickers who has not missed a kick who has kicked over 8. I believe that is the exact stat. So will the throw, I mean, he's one of only 3 kickers to not miss a kick in the entire season so far. He's been awesome. Caleb Hammer saying the whole team is the X factor. Yeah, I mean, no doubt, no doubt. But we do have a super chat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we do have a super chat rolling in from Rocky. Appreciate you. That's actually my dad in the chat. Caleb Hammer saying the whole team is X factor. Nevermore saying, great show, Patrick. I appreciate you, Never. Thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. I'm super excited to break it down. Big time game for our Minnesota Vikings. Like, you know, I think the 5-0 start's great, but with how good the NFC North has been, like, you're a game and a half out of being in last place in the division. And, you know, that's a good thing that the division is playing so well, because I think there's going to be an iron sharpens iron situation where, you know, these NFC North matchups are going to feel like playoff games. Like, this game against the Lions this week, this is going to have a playoff game feel. So when you're heading into, you know, an actual playoff game, you already have some experience. And plus with a Vikings team who, you know, you got a bunch of new pieces coming together, like, you know, they need that experience as a group. And I think with their schedules being so brutal at the start, you know, going against the Niners, Texans, Packers, like 3 really, really good football teams, like having beat those guys and beat them handily, like the confidence level for this group has to be through the roof right now. King saying if Dallas Turner plays, he will have a field day. Yeah, Dallas Turner, yeah, his snap count's been definitely lower over the past couple of weeks. Than I thought. But shout out to Rocky sending a super chat. This is actually my dad. He's saying happy birthday. Hope you're having a great day. I am having a great birthday. All I want for a birthday gift from the Vikings is a win this Sunday. That's literally all I want. That's all I could ask for. Hopefully the Vikings, you know, deliver that to me. But, you know, I'll give a shout out to whoever in the building can let me know how old I'm turning today. That is the new question. How old am I turning? How old do you guys think I'm turning? But I'm going to do a deal today. If you guys send in $10 to help support the show, we'll sign your name on our Week 7 football versus the Detroit Lions. We'll give this away during our watch party this week. If you guys want, you know, an extra way or extra motivation to help support the channel. And also do this. We're $80 away. If we get to $100 total on today's show, we'll go live 15 minutes before normal. So 10:45 we'll go live if we can get there. Let's see. You guys are saying 27. Keith saying 30. Ashanti saying 27. Tim 26. Tom Lyles saying 25. And actually, Tom Lyles is right. I turned 25 years old today, which is crazy. Whoa. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, the light was on. I'm pretty sure I had it off the thing too, and then I put it back on. Yeah, halfway to 50. Yeah, shout out to DJ Plays. Yeah, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties with our graphics behind the scene right now. Caleb Hammer saying 27. William saying 18. Yeah, halfway to 50. I actually don't like hearing that. I don't like hearing that, DJ. The next 25 goes by fast. I hope not, man. Hope it goes by slow, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, shout out to Rocky, though, sending a $20 super chat. Do we just have any generic ones we can throw up on screen? Yeah, appreciate you guys being patient with us. We got some technical difficulties behind the scene right now. With the rest of our schedule, we should only lose once, and that is Week 18 to Detroit. Yeah, that's the only game we're not favored in. I was looking at the, you know, the season-long lines for the rest of the games. The Vikings are only favored in, or they're not favored in only one game. And actually, before the year, the Vikings were only favored, supposed to be, I think it was against the Colts. And maybe the Cardinals. I think those are the only 2 games you're supposed to be favored in. Now it is completely flipped. So that's why I'm still like, take those preseason expectations and just throw them out the window. Hey, Coop. I just need to get some help in here. Yo, can we get some help in here? I have no idea what's going on. Like, I don't know, somebody moved some stuff over and then everything got messed up. Can somebody just handle it? Like, this is a joke. I don't know. She moved it over, and then apparently all the emojis got. Yeah, we're live right now. Shout out to Caleb Hammer saying Minnesota should try and draft Gentry, not Line. Yeah, unfortunately, with the Vikings are selecting, I don't know if Gentry's going to be on the board. I would love him. I actually wouldn't mind the Vikings drafting a running back next year. I would probably prefer that being in, like, you know, usually one of our 5th-round picks for next season on a running back. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. William P. saying if Hawk does play, I want him to go one-on-one with Kirby Joseph all game long and power drive him all day. Yeah, Kirby Joseph is he is definitely public enemy number 1 this weekend. You know, I think Hawk, I really want him to get out there just because I think it will help this Vikings offense be that safety blanket, you know, no doubt about it. But also, like, with no Aiden Hutchinson, like, you know, you wouldn't need your tight end to, you know, sit there and chip. Like, Hawk can just get free in his break, and then that will happen. So, yeah. All right, sweet. Yeah, just predict Darnold's stat line. Yeah, if you guys could predict Sam Darnold's stat line versus the Detroit Lions for me down below in the comment section. Shout out to Tom Lyle saying, when in doubt, bust out a cold beer. Yes, sir, Tom. Shout out to you for tuning in. DJ saying, should the Vikings have taken someone else other than Akers? No, I think Akers is a good move because, you know, this is a guy who's going to understand the system right away. You know, no doubt about it. You know, he was with Kevin O'Connell when he was in Los Angeles. He came last year, picked up the system, you know, within a couple of weeks. And I actually thought he ran very, very well. You know, very well, no doubt about it. So, you know, I like to pick up of Akers. I know some people wanted us to swing a little bigger, like the Travis Etienne's, the Nick Chubbs, but I thought Akers was a great choice. Shout out to Robin watching in Lawrence, Kansas City. Appreciate you. William P's got Darnold going 19 of 27, 345, and 3 touchdowns. If he does that, you know, Darnold's going to be at the front of the MVP conversation. The Vikings are most likely 6-0. Caleb saying 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, 25 rushing yards, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 155. That would be fantastic, Caleb. I would love that. I would love that. And then Jerry Carey in the chat as well. But we are going to be getting into a mailbag here in about 40 minutes or so. So if you guys got a question for me, just use hashtag Vikings in the live chat, or you guys can just super chat to get up on today's show. Just hashtag Vikings in the live chat. It helps our software pull it, and you guys will have your name, your profile picture right up next to me. And you guys can ask me whatever you want around the Minnesota Vikings. Tom Lyles has number 14, throws for 3 touchdowns. I hope so, Tom. I hope so. No saying, how well do you think the Vikings defense would go do against the Lions offense? Yeah, we'll dive into that a little more in depth on today's show. But, I mean, it all starts with stopping the run. No doubt about it. Like, stopping the run is the number one thing you need to do against the Lions. That's normally what you need to do against every single team, specifically with the Brian Flores defense. You want to get them in the 3rd and longs, but the Lions are actually the best team in the league in avoiding 3rd and longs. They're one of the best rushing teams on 1st and 2nd down. It's them and the Baltimore Ravens. So it is going to be challenging to get them in those positions. But if they're able to do that, slow down the run game, not having Cashman is going to hurt. You know, no doubt about it. But I'm just really hoping this Vikings team, you know, they treat this like a playoff game because it's going to have a playoff game feel. Like, the Lions are going to be motivated. Like, they want to come in here, no Aiden Hutchinson, and act like everything's okay. I think the Vikings are the better football team, even if they had Aiden Hutchinson. So, I really hope that, the linebacker position is, going to be all right with no Blake Cashman. Stopping the run will be a little more challenging, but then you got to rely on guys like Pace, Harrison Phillips. So, guys are going to have to step up, but, we'll see what happens. Cancel out Montgomery and Jamar, and then you can win a lot easier. Yeah, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are, in my opinion, the best tandem of running backs you can have in the NFL. Like, they're both good pass catchers. They're both great in the red zone, goal line situations. Like, they are fantastic at doing so. But shout out to Erica Point in the live chat as well. Vikings defense will get 1 interception and 2 forced fumbles. Hey, win the turnover battle. Everybody knows you win the turnover battle under Kevin O'Connell, you should win that football game. But coming up on today's show, we are going to be talking about what Stephen A. Smith and Chris Carter had to say around our Minnesota Vikings. Then I got 10 trade targets, or actually 11. I got a little bonus one for you guys. And then the biggest issue on Sunday, the Vikings will beat the Lions if ... We already kind of talked about it, but we got some advanced analytics, some advanced stats, and we'll show you guys those here in a second. But If you guys are ready to go, want to dive into today's show, if you guys could, just hit that thumbs up icon. We're at 41 likes right now. Once we get to 50, we'll get it started here. But appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Good Wednesday before the Lions game. A massive, massive game for our Minnesota Vikings. Jim Clark saying, is Cashman out with turf toe? Yeah, he hasn't been officially ruled out yet, but that's where it's heading, that he will be ruled out. And even his status for Week 8 versus the Rams is in question, which is just absolutely brutal. But, we'll wait and see what happens. With Cashman, Eric saying, how do you feel about the rookie kicker? I love him. He hasn't missed a kick yet, so I got nothing to complain about. He's been money, in some big-time situations too, 50-plus yarders against the New York Jets and, a game where it's all about the margins. Like that Jets game, if he misses a couple kicks, it's a whole different story there. So, Will Reichard's been awesome. No complaints whatsoever. Yeah. Just take it off. Take it off. Yeah. Just put it in here. Yeah. Jay No saying, I predict a blowout win for the Vikings, 37-14. Yeah, I got 31-16 right now. I think the Vikings are going to be great in the red zone. That is where I'm going. Will TJ play Sunday? Early reports this week were saying 100% he's going to play, but the reports recently and the way Kevin O'Connell was talking today, I honestly think it's more likely that he doesn't play. Like KOC kept saying in his press conference, we got a lot of football left. We don't want to force anything, but all the reports about him at practice, apparently he looks great. So, definitely going to be something to follow this week. Silent saying I see a 50-point blowout on the Lions. Man, if the Vikings blow out the Lions this week, they will get all types of praise. But I think more of the conversation amongst the national media members would be about, Aiden Hutchinson wasn't there. They lost their veteran defensive tackle as well. So, no matter what the Vikings do, they'll move that goalpost. I have a way to spin zone it. But honestly, that's why I like being a Vikings fan, because if we were like the New York Giants or New York Jets, in a bigger market, we would be getting praised on every single network, like Fox Sports, ESPN. They would all be, praising us for what we've done. But since we're in Minnesota, I think we fly a little bit more under the radar. Lions lost to Tampa, and the Vikings are a better team. Yeah, their loss to Tampa was a little weird. They outgained them. They just couldn't convert in the red zone, which is a big reason why they lost. And that's a big reason why I have this score prediction being 31-16 for Sunday. Eric Point saying, hammer, that does look like a great blowout score. Yeah, it does. No doubt, Eric. But we're going to dive into it, what Stephen A. Smith had to say on the Minnesota Vikings. Let's get after it. We have another national media head talking nonsense around the Minnesota Vikings. What's going on, guys? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, I want to discuss what Stephen A. Smith and Chris Carter, Vikings legend wide receiver, had to say about our Minnesota Vikings heading into this must-win game. No, not really a must-win game, but a big-time game versus the Detroit Lions this Sunday. And if you guys want the Vikings to beat the Lions, I'm just asking for one thing out of you guys. Hit that thumbs-up icon. Don't jinx us. If you guys want the Vikings to move to 6-0 and celebrate a 6-victory Monday here on the season, if you guys want the Vikings to catch a big-time victory, hit that thumbs-up icon. Now, Stephen A. Smith, he disrespected the Vikings yet again. So pretty much a backstory on this. Stephen A., Chris Carter, they hop on Stephen A.'s live YouTube show every week, and they just talk about the NFL. And Stephen A.'s been having Chris Carter on a lot more, talking about the Minnesota Vikings as they are off to a 5-0 start. But this is how it starts off. So Stephen A. had Chris Carter on his show, and Chris Carter was a little late running to the program. And Stephen A. started off by saying this. You were a little bit late. They were talking about technical difficulties and all that stuff. I happen to know that was a lie. I happen to know you were hiding because when you saw the Detroit Lions whoop those Cowboys' butts the way they did, you said, damn, I am not in much of a position to come talking some smack about the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this is going to be a storyline throughout the season, I think, is going to be Stephen A. Smith versus Vikings fans. I think Stephen A. is trying to channel in, a little bit of his hatred for the Cowboys and kind of direct it towards the Minnesota Vikings, as the Cowboys are going to be pretty irrelevant here, in a couple months. But the Vikings are going to be playing big-time games. So Stephen A., He's calling out Chris Carter, saying, what are you going to say now? You're not even the best team in your division. And then Chris Carter carried on to say this after Stephen A. kind of called him out for being late. He said, I got respect for Detroit. He understands they're a good football team. Number 1 offense in the National Football League. The most physical team in the National Football League. But Chris Carter also said this, which I thought was very interesting. He said the Detroit Lions this year might be like the 1998 Vikings. And he carried on to follow his thoughts. He carried on to say, the 98 Vikings, they had an elite offense. Moss, Carter, Culpepper, like they were one of the best offenses in the league. But that defense was pretty middle of the pack. And that's kind of what he's thinking about the Detroit Lions. Like, you can win all these regular season games, but when it comes down to December and January and February football, it's all about defense. It's all about the running game, and the Lions check one of those boxes. But with no Aiden Hutchinson now, I still got a lot of questions around this Lions defense. But Stephen A. responded by saying this. The Detroit Lions are looking like the best team in football. The Chicago Bears blitz the Jaguars. We got that going on. And, of course, Green Bay. This could arguably be the best division in football. Tell me how you encapsulate all of this. Who do you see coming out of this? And then he screams, and I need objectivity, CC. Not that purple peeper eater waving the pom-pom. So, Stephen A. is clearly trying to troll Chris Carter a little bit, but Chris Carter responded saying he's confident in the Vikings this week. He believes the Vikings are going to get a win. Now, is he drinking a little too much purple Kool-Aid? Probably. I mean, he is a Vikings legend. He's a diehard Vikings fan. He loves this football team. But, if I was Chris Carter, I would respond to Stephen A. by just showing this photo of the Vikings absolutely taking the souls of the opponents they've faced. Daniel Jones, top left. He was in shambles after he played the Vikings. C.J. Stroud, he is exhausted after going up against that Brian Flores defense. Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur had fits out there on the football field. And then recently, Rodgers and Robert Saleh, who just got fired after playing the Vikings, they were in shambles after this game. The Vikings are better than the Detroit Lions. Now, if I would have said this before the year, people would have said I'm biased. People would have called me crazy, say I'm drinking too much purple Kool-Aid, and I understand that. The Lions were a fantastic football team last season. But in the NFL, it's not a rich tapestry. It is all about what have you done for me lately. And if we look at just the silent tape over the first 5 games that each team has played, yes, the Lions have looked great, but the Vikings have looked better. So we talk about some advantages here that the Vikings have over the Lions. I think Kevin O'Connell is a better coach than Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell's done a great job of instilling a very tough-minded culture and offensive genius, but I just think Kevin O'Connell's a little better. I think he's a better play caller. Obviously, Ben Johnson does call the plays offensively, but Campbell's heavily involved in those game plans. I think O'Connell is better in that, and honestly, I like the Vikings culture just a little bit more. I think it's a little more sustainable than the Lions culture. And also this, I think Brian Flores is a better coordinator than Ben Johnson. Like, this is also the matchup I'm most excited to watch this week, just see what wrinkles each of these guys, put in their systems. Brian Flores also had that viral quote saying, I'm going to fight fire with fire, because he knows Ben Johnson is going to be aggressive. We know Flores is going to be aggressive. It is going to be must-watch TV when the Vikings are out there on defense and the Lions are out there on offense. And when the Lions are out there on offense, they got all types of weapons. But they don't have a guy like Justin Jefferson. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a fantastic receiver. He is not even close to the caliber receiver that Jefferson is. Jefferson can play in the slot. He can play outside. He can even go in the backfield and catch a couple passes. But then you add on Jordan Addison, who I think is a better complement receiver to a guy like Jamison Williams. And then you add T.J. Hockenson if he's able to go. You add, that star-studded offensive line. Both teams have them. But I think the Vikings, I would take their weapons mainly because of number 18. Let me talk about the talent they both have defensively. I think the advantage goes to the Minnesota Vikings. I think maybe the Vikings don't have that blue chipper like the Lions had in Aiden Hutchinson, but now you take him out of it. The Vikings have 10, 12 very, very solid defensive players who all know how to play well together. I don't know if the Lions' defensive talent can even sniff the level of the Minnesota Vikings. And I already kind of teased it, the culture. I think the Vikings are a process-oriented organization. The results have been great throughout the first 5 games. But they're going to go back this bye week, figure out where they can get better, figure out where they can improve. And I think that's where the culture of the Vikings is so much better. But Stephen A., he also had to say this about the Detroit Lions, saying you look at Detroit, they got 2 running backs. Both have went for over 300 yards. They got a dual threat at the running back spot. They got a dual threat at the receiver spot. You got Laporta at the tight end spot. I'm looking at the weapons, and once upon a time, I thought Minnesota was the team with the plethora of weapons, but I am looking at the Detroit Lions right now. And with the culture Dan Campbell has instilled in that team, I got to tell you something. I am very impressed with what I am seeing. Now, Stephen A. said the Vikings' weapons aren't up to par with the Lions' weapons, but when the Vikings are fully healthy, I think I would give them the slight advantage. Now, I think the Vikings' second wide receiver is better than the Lions' second wide receiver. I think the running back, advantage goes to the Detroit Lions. They do have Gibbs and Montgomery. Sewell's probably just slightly better than Christian Darrisaw. Tight end, you can call it a wash, but I think the difference is Jefferson over a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, the Lions do have great weapons themselves. They have, like Stephen A. was saying, 2 great receivers, 2 great running backs, great tight end, the best offensive line in the league. But I just think with the Justin Jefferson, the number 18 effect, it takes the Vikings' weapons to another level. And then Chris Carter, he responded by saying this. He was just saying, not having Aiden Hutchinson will hurt. And I totally agree. Not having Hutch in this lineup for the Detroit Lions is going to hurt this football team. They are a very top-heavy edge group. They don't have the depth, that other teams have. And with losing Hutchinson, Chris Carter made this point. Hawk doesn't need to chip anyone. He can just release free. They don't need to keep a running back or a tight end in when they don't have Aiden Hutchinson in that lineup. I think that's fantastic. And then they also said this. They don't have a Justin Jefferson. There's only one of them in the National Football League, the best wide receiver in the league. It's going to cause so many matchup problems, and Chris Carter alluded to it, just saying when you got to roll all that attention, you got to roll that safety coverage to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison will be wide open in one-on-one chances. And with the Lions not necessarily having a good second cornerback, Addison should eat this weekend, and that's my bold take. That's my hot take. Is that Jordan Addison go over 125 yards receiving and find the end zone at least one time. But I do just want to say a thank you to Chris Carter, one of the best Vikings of all time, for, going toe-to-toe with Stephen A. Smith. He's a great debater. He's great at what he does, but Chris Carter stood in the ring, took the punches, and threw back some great, haymakers to defend his Minnesota Vikings. So let's show him some love. One of the best Vikings receivers and one of the best receivers in the National Football League of all time. Type his jersey number, type those 80s down below in the comments section. Coming up next on the show, we do have some disappointing injury news around Blake Cashman, and I do want to throw you guys some couple stats about Justin Jefferson absolutely destroying and owning the Detroit Lions. But before we dive into that, I do want to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Game Time. If you guys download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, you guys will get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Now, tickets to the Lions game this weekend are very, very expensive. If you guys want to help yourself out and have not used Game Time yet, just download the app, use promo code CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only, but plug in that promo code, and you guys will get $20 off. So terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Got that link for you guys in the comments and description of today's show. So we got some disappointing injury news around our Minnesota Vikings as Andrew Kramer does a great job covering them. Tweeted out sources, Vikings linebacker Blake Cashman is dealing with turf toe and isn't expected to play against the Lions. His status for the next game against the Rams following Thursday is also in doubt from what I've heard. So this is disappointing, but honestly with the way Grugier Hill has stepped in for Ivan Pace when he has to miss time, obviously this is a big blow because of how well Cashman has played, but you have a solid linebacker to fill in his place. Now, we also do have an injury update around TJ Hawkinson from play-by-play legend Paul Allen saying we don't know if we'll get TJ or not yet. He had a great first day on Monday, kind of back on the field in London, and then had a great day yesterday, so he'll keep working. Now, I think the Vikings need Hawk this week. Kevin O'Connell gave his press conference today saying there's a lot of football left. We don't need to rush anybody back, and I understand that. The goal is not to win a Week 7 game versus the Lions. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. And I think TJ Hawkinson, obviously I want him for the playoff run, but this has, first seed implications. This has NFC North implications. So having TJ Hawkinson back is huge. And, there's one guy on the Lions team. I hope he's ready to go. I hope Kirby Joseph is ready to rock this Sunday, because if TJ Hawkinson is out there, I want Kevin O'Connell to dial up a 50-50 ball. Don't try to get dirty with Joseph. We'll beat him on the field. Hopefully you throw TJ Hawkinson a 50-50 ball when he's one-on-one with number 33. I can't stand this guy. He is by far my least favorite player in the National Football League. But, I do think with, Justin Jefferson, dominating the Lions in the past, like, I expect Jordan Addison to have a monster game. Like, the Lions are going to hit the film room this week. They're going to go back and look at past games against the Vikings, and they're going to see that Jefferson has completely dominated the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I do have some stats around him heading into this game. His career averages versus the Detroit Lions, I think he's averaging around, it's like 180-something yards per game, and he has just been awesome, man. Truly has been very, very special. Let me just get you guys his exact stats here. Yeah, his career numbers in 8 games, 7.8 receptions per game, 134 yards, and 0.4 touchdowns per game. So he has owned them. So I think that's going to allow Jordan Addison to really get going. And this is my score prediction for the game. I got the Vikings winning 31-16 here. I think the Vikings defense is going to be great in the red zone. I think that's going to be the difference. I think the Vikings are going to finish these drives with touchdowns. Lions will be held to field goals. I think that's going to be the biggest takeaway from that game. But, the Vikings are the better football team, and it will show out there on the field on Sunday. Like, I understand the Lions, they got all types of talent, but I just think the talent, if you stack together, or if you stack up each 53-man roster next to each other, I'm taking the Vikings roster. Like, I think they got more talent on both sides of the football, so that's what I'm going with. I'm going with 31-16, but you guys let me know. Predict the score for me. Vikings versus Lions down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think will happen. And if you guys do want to give me a follow on Twitter, that's the handle right there, @PatSieps. Give me a follow over there, and give you guys a follow right back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. As always, Skol Vikes. Skol, you're saying maybe play TJ in the red zone only? That's an interesting thought. Yeah, maybe he's on just like a snap count. Could be, but I'm not sure. Oh, you're good. Are socials in there? No, you're good. You're good. Eric saying 31-17, Vikings win. Josh Schaefer saying 35-10, Vikings winning over Lions. Rob Jigga saying, hey, Seeps, happy birthday, man. By the way, stop spreading the fake rumors on Sexy Dexy. Hey, that's just wishful thinking, Rob Jigga. I would love to have your guy, Sexy Dexy, join the purple and gold. And we'll talk about it because, the Giants, they had some bad injury news today. Maybe they want to implode a little bit and be sellers at the deadline. Who knows? Who knows? Roger saying happy birthday. I appreciate you, Raj. Shout out to you, man. Ken. No. Ken saying Lions are a great football team. We're the strongest division. The Lions have not played a good defense like the Vikings. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Lions have not had the same, strength of opponent that the Vikings have had so far. So I fully expect the Vikings defense to have a good game. I don't think it'll be a great game. Like, the Lions offense is too dynamic to completely shut them out. They'll be able to move the football, but I think it's going to come down to red zone situations where the Vikings have not let up a touchdown outside of the red zone all season long. Great stat. PTLRG saying happy birthday, Seeps. Thank you so much. Saying Skol Vikes 33, Lions 27. I would love that, man. Rob Jigga, 100%, man, 100%. Finally 21 years old. Finally 21 years old. That's hilarious. Wayne Davis saying 35-23 Vikings win. Tim Lindsay saying 27-17 Vikings win. I hope so, man. I hope so. But if you guys do got a question for me, just use hashtag Vikings or Super Chat. We'll get to the mailbag in about 30 minutes or so. So if you guys want to ask me whatever you are feeling around this Vikings team, just drop that in the live chat. Use hashtag Vikings. Or if you guys want a Super Chat to get on today's show, that's another way to do so. Wayne saying HBD. Appreciate you, Wayne. Thank you. Thank you. All I want for my birthday is the Vikings win over the Lions. That is all I want, man. That is all I want. Kickoff rule needs to go. Not yet. Not yet. I want to see how it plays out for at least a couple years. Like, I feel like these special teams coordinators will adjust and, kick returns will be, I guess, a little bit back. A little bit back. Rob, yeah, I hear you, but the Vikes are also missing one of their linebackers, Blake Cashman, who's had a great year. Yeah, I hope you're right, Rob. It's just still a very, very good team. Very good team. Don McKinnon saying Vikes 24, Lions 21. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Eric Mott saying U.S. Bank will be deafening. Oh, my God. The bank this weekend is going to be a madhouse, guys. If you guys are going to that game, let me know. That is going to be awesome. Yeah, but we're going to dive into some trade rumors, some trade targets for the Minnesota Vikings with the trade deadline only a couple of weeks away. So let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I want to go over 10 trade targets for the Minnesota Vikings as after the 5-0 start, Vikings fans are really hoping that GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah will make a big-time move at the deadline. Obviously, they did trade for Cam Akers yet again early on this week, but I think a bigger move could be on the table. So if you guys want the Vikings to make a trade, just give me a SKOL down below in the comment section. If you guys could, I'd really appreciate it. Send a message to the Vikings front office to not waste a very special year that we could have. So if you guys want the Vikings to make a trade, just type SKOL down below. Now, in terms of making a trade, the most difficult part with the Vikings is no doubt their limited draft capital for this upcoming year. So they are supposed to get a conditional 7th-round pick from the Jacksonville Jaguars, but as it stands right now, they only have 3 picks, and one of these is a conditional 5th from the Zadarius Smith trade, but they got 1 first-rounder, they got 2 5th-rounders, so not a lot in 2025, but in 2026, they do have a lot on the table to use. Then you also got to talk about the cap space. Like, the Vikings only have $10.98 million left remaining this season. Now, you can obviously restructure some contracts, make an extra dead year. Like, there are ways to work around it. So if there's really a guy the Vikings want and maybe he can't fit into this, $11 million figure, they can work around it in a countless number of ways, especially with guys like Darisaw and Jefferson getting extended this offseason. It really gives them flexibility, heading into the deadline. But Alec Lewis of The Athletic wrote a very, very interesting article talking about the Titans as possible big sellers. And he says, Jeffery Simmons, Harold Landry, L'Jarius Sneed, if any of those guys are available for some kind of price from a draft capital perspective, like if the Vikings are going to go big game hunting, that is a team I'm watching. And here we go. I cannot wait for the NFL trade deadline because this man right here has not let – this little smirk he has, I feel like he's always cooking something up. But this guy right here is not going to trade deadline without making a big-time move. Like his first trade deadline, got Hawkinson. Last year, he traded away Ezra Cleveland in a shocking move. He also brought in Josh Dobbs. Like, he's not going to let a trade deadline go by without, him trying to make a move to better this roster, not just for this year, but for the future. Now, there is one big-time name that a lot of people have been asking me about, Max Crosby. I think he's just out of the Vikings' price range here. I think this would probably cost multiple first-round picks, maybe a starter to land Mad Max. But I'll tell you what, man, if they could somehow get their hands on him, he'd be great for the culture. He would add a sense of, toughness and swagger to this defense, which he is the definition of that, and he's a hell of a football player too. Great in the run game, great in the pass rushing department. He is fantastic. So Mad Max, I think he's a little out of the Vikings' price range here. And do they need an edge necessarily? I think they would probably lean like a Jeffery Simmons a little bit more than him, but he's a name to keep your eye on. Maybe not for the Vikings, but maybe for the Detroit Lions in terms of a team trading for him. But let's dive into it. So I got 5 all-in trade targets, and I got 5 kind of all-in trade targets. But the first one, what about Jaycee Horn? Jaycee Horn, he is one of the better young and up-and cornerbacks in the league. Now, he is 24 years old, and with the Vikings losing all 3 of their starting corners to free agency next season, maybe they tried the trade for Horn, and then he's able to, get extended. Then he's like a true CB1 for the next couple of years. But him in coverage this year has been awesome. He's been targeted 30 times, only has allowed 15 catches for 217 yards. He does have 4 touchdowns allowed, but that's just more red zone mishaps for him. But he's got 6 PBUs and 1 interception. And, this Vikings cornerback room for this year, like if you add JC in the place of Shaq Griffin, Like, you got 3-4 corners that I would love having out there on the field. It's so funny how, this time or in the summer, we're talking about this group as possibly being like the worst group in the NFL. I think it's completely changed. Like, I love the way Byron Murphy, Stephon Gilmore, Shaq Griffin have all played. And if you would just add in another guy like a Jaycee Horn, I think it would be absolutely massive for this team moving forward. So keep your eyes out on him. I think he would be a good choice as well. And then also you got another guy. Like, how about a DJ Reed, star cornerback for the New York Jets? I think he is one of the most underrated players in the National Football League. I thought he did a great job on Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison that game. And DJ Reed, he's a guy who, he's a young guy. You can extend him after this year. And, I just said it, but he is the most underrated cornerback in the National Football League. Like, I think playing next to a guy like Sauce, he gets all the attention, and I understand that. But what I saw, and especially in that London game, this man's fantastic. He can run step for step with some of the fastest wide receivers in the league. He plays with a sense of swagger, plays with a sense of aggression that I love at the cornerback position, and his PFF grades are absolutely ridiculous. Like 86.6 overall, run defense, 73.7. But his coverage grade this year is a staggering 87.4. I'm not sure if the Jets would move off him, considering they just traded for Devontae Adams, but it's definitely a name to keep your eyes on. Now let's get it to the big fella in the middle. I know Giants fans watching this video are going to kill me, but I got to put Dexter Lawrence on this list. Now, I think it is extremely, extremely unlikely that New York ends up trading Sexy Dexy. But if he, for whatever reason, becomes available, the Vikings should send multiple first-round picks to go get number 97. He's 26 years old, playing some of the best football of his career, and this man is just a unit. Like, 7 sacks on the year, 24 pressures, 5 TFLs. He can get it done in the run game and the pass rush game. He is truly one of the best players, not just defensively in the league, but in the entire league. Like, the impact he has on the football field is massive. And, the Vikings would be able to, bring him in this season. You have to restructure about $4 million this year, but that's very, very doable. But then his salary, $24 million in 25, 27 in 26, then 26 in 27. That's a steal of a deal for one of the best players in the National Football League. If he becomes available, he is my all-in trade target. But again, very, very unlikely he gets dealt anywhere at the trade deadline. But number 4 for me, I think this is a more obvious one, or more likely one, I should say, is Jeffery Simmons of the Tennessee Titans. Now, Jeffery Simmons, his contract for this year is a little more than Dexter Lawrence at $21 million. But again, you guys can the Vikings should be able to make that work by just restructuring a couple deals. And, this is a guy who's been dominant, very similar to Dexter Lawrence. He can get it done in the pass rush game. He can get it done in the run defense game. This is a guy I would be all in on. If I had to pick one player where it's like, assuming Kwesi wants to go all in on this year, this is the guy that's most likely. It is Jeffery Simmons. Do not be shocked if the Vikings try to make a big-time news for him. I would absolutely love it. But let's get it to a cornerback here, a veteran. What about Jalen Ramsey? Now, Jalen Ramsey, I don't need to say much about him. You guys know who he is. He's still playing elite football this year with the Miami Dolphins. He did just get extended before this offseason, so he'll be locked up for the next couple of years. And again, with the Vikings losing these guys in free agency, I could see Kwesi almost viewing this deadline as a position, or to help him position this team for the future at that secondary. Jalen Ramsey's that guy. Like, the numbers don't lie. 18 pass breakups in 2022 with the Rams. He was one of the best corners in the National Football League. So those are my 5 all-in trade targets. We'll get the 5 more here in a second. But you guys just got to give me a name. Name a player the Vikings should trade for at the NFL trade deadline. Who is it? Drop their name down below in the comments section. Now, we'll get to more names here in a second, but first, I do want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. If you guys download the Prize Picks app today and sign up today, you guys will get $50 instantly when you play just $5. And the best part is you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Now, what is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And for your Minnesota Timberwolves fans, they actually have a deal going on right now for our guy Anthony Edwards, where if he just scores 1 point on opening night next Tuesday versus the Los Angeles Lakers, you guys get a free win. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, run your game. Got that link for you guys in the comments and description of today's show. Let's kick it to the offensive line. How about a guy like Wyatt Teller? Now, this is a move where I think, let's just say Ed Ingram is a disaster this weekend, and maybe they don't have faith in Dalton Risner coming back from that back injury. Maybe they look at the Cleveland Browns, who already traded Amari Cooper. Clearly, there is some sort of a fire sale going on there, and this is one of the better right guards in the league. Now, the PFF grades, he is having a downish year for his standard, but I think a lot of this just has to do with the Browns just being a terrible offense. So none of their guys will be graded well, but 67.2 overall, 63.6 in the run block, and 65.5 in the run block department. But, you know, the Vikings offensive line, like, I think you got 3 elite players in Brandell, Darrisaw, and O'Neal. You just got to shore up that interior. And I think Garrett Bradbury would look a whole lot better if he had a guy like, you know, Wyatt Teller next to him at the right guard spot. I think that could be a huge upgrade, and we'll also get more out of Bradbury. But, again, unlikely. But we move on to Chase Young, edge rusher of the New Orleans Saints. Now, I don't necessarily think the Vikings need an edge rusher. I think they're good there, unless it's like an all-in move on like a true blue chipper, where you're getting a guy like a Max Crosby. Obviously, I think that's unlikely, or a Myles Garrett or something like that, where you would have Myles Garrett and Jonathan Grenard working Van Ginkel, Patrick Jones, Dallas Turner. The Vikings would have the best edge group in the National Football League. But for just a minuscule move, Chase Young kind of out on that. But we kick it to Jonathan Jones here, veteran corner for the New England Patriots. This is a guy I love. Very smart football player, very versatile football player. And I think the Vikings could kind of get him for, a little bit of a steal. I think this would probably take a 5th-round pick to get him, maybe a 3rd. Maybe I'm just, not valuing, Jonathan Jones as much. But this is how he grades out PFF-wise: 63.3 overall, run defense at 41, pass rush at 60, coverage at 67.4. I like this move. But again, the Vikings are going to have to do something with the cornerback room, whether it's this trade deadline or during free agency this next spring. But kick it to Calais Campbell here. This is a guy I would love. Maybe the Dolphins, maybe they're viewing they can't necessarily go on a playoff run like they hope so. But I think Calais Campbell is going to be an absolute monster for a team if he gets traded there. This is a guy who's going to just come in, play rotational reps. He's not going to be all 3 down type of defensive lineman. But I think Campbell, I really, really do believe in him. I think he's got a lot left in the tank, even though he is 37, 38 years old. But he has been very, very productive. I mean, even this year, man, he's got 4 TFLs and 2 sacks in 5 games for a bad Miami Dolphins team. You bring him to Minnesota, he can play on the interior, he can play on the outside, he can play everywhere. I'd be all in on it. Now, this is a guy who I think would be a depth piece for the Vikings, and maybe if like Jerry Tillery, Harrison Phillips, he's kind of on the same level of those players. But what about Sebastian Joseph Day? I am a big fan of this guy, and I really do believe he has a lot of good football left in the tank here. He has 2 sacks on the season, 14 tackles, 3 TFLs, but this is just a guy where it's like Vikings would have more depth at the defensive line. I don't think it's a blue chipper where it's a needle mover, but again, maybe toss the Titans a 5th, 3rd, 4th-round pick, whatever it may be, because they're going to be fire sailing a lot of their players here, hopefully at the deadline. So I'll definitely call about SJD. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just give me a SKOL down below in the comments section. I'd really appreciate it. And also shout out to all of you guys who watch this entire thing. That is awesome. And thank you guys so much. But, if you guys do want to give me a follow on Twitter, that's the handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. And as always, SKOL Vikes. Alrighty, name a player the Vikings should trade for down below in the comments section. Okay, bet. No, you're good. Yeah, we can just get the mailbag call here. If you guys want to get some questions in there, we'll get in the mailbag soon. Hashtag Vikings in the live chat. Charlie saying Tre'Davious White. I wouldn't hate that. Wouldn't hate that at all. I actually just made a trade in my fantasy football league. Getting blasted for it, but I traded Sam Laporta for Jordan Addison. I'm thinking Jordan Addison's going to have a monster finish to the year. Mailbag coming up. Hashtag Vikings or Super Chat. SKOL TV saying Snead. Yeah, I would love L'Jarius Sneed. Hell of a corner. Played in big-time games before. Sweet, yeah. Harvey saying, why would the Vikings, or why would you do with this first-round pick this year? Why would you trade it away? I mean, it would just be the argument of, like, you know you're going to be drafting in, like, the 25 to 30 range, and if you want to take advantage of this year, like, maybe you could throw that first-round pick to a team who's going to need it to trade up for a quarterback. But, you know, I don't love giving up first-round picks because then the Vikings next season necessarily can't make any moves in the draft. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Sweet, sweet, sweet. I go viral saying Sammy Dimes. Yes, sir. Shout out to you. Detroit won't trade none of their guys. I'm talking about fantasy football. I just traded Sam Laporta for Jordan Addison. I was not I was not talking about them trading them in real life. I was talking about fantasy football on that. Vikings only have 3 picks in 2025, Rob. It's 2 5ths and a first. They could get a conditional 7th, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Jared saying SKOL Vikings all day. We are a beast. Shout out to you. No one drafted in the first round is starting on this team next year. Yeah, that's a great point, M-Mac. That's a great point. I mean, both first-round picks this year aren't really playing. Like, Dallas Turner gets probably 15 snaps a game. Besides that, he's not really doing much. Didn't we give one to the Texans? We gave a second. Last year's second to the Texans. And I think this upcoming year. Yeah, I think it was 2 seconds to land that pick. Shot to Eric Point. Key saying, okay, yeah, don't worry. I'm not talking about trading Jordan Addison for Sam Laporta. Even though I think the Lions would win that trade. Sweet. Do you think Cam Akers will get a lot of field time off the bat? I do think he will. You know, I think Cam Akers, he's familiar with the system, and I don't think the Vikings are comfortable with giving Ty Chandler like the 25, 30 carries a game, or even if it's just, 15 to 20. I think it's probably going to be like 12, 15 for Ty. Maybe you get 5 to 10 to 12 for Cam Akers, but I fully expect him to be heavily involved this week. I mean, there's a reason you trade for him before this Lions game. You're going to use him because they could have waited to trade for him or bring in another guy. Like, I think no doubt he is going to be heavily maybe not heavily involved, but he'll be involved in the game plan. SKOL TV saying real ones remember Steve from the SKOL Side days. Man, if you remember me from the SKOL Side days, you are a definition of a real one. Adam saying Cam Akers is fragile. Yeah, I mean, definitely has had some injuries in the past, but I think he'll be ready to go this weekend. I think he'll be very, very effective. Vikings also get a comp pick for losing Cousins. Yeah, I don't know how the comp pick calculator has that shaken out so far. So they could get a 5th for that. You also got to think about Danielle Hunter gets weighed into there as well. Let me see here. So it should be, I mean, they should get a 3rd for Cousins. Should get a 3rd. Also, KJ's factored into that. Maybe this is also confusing because it still has to wait for the year to play out. Yeah, we'll see though. But we are going to be diving into the mailbag here. So if you guys are ready to go, just drop a question in the live chat, and we'll throw it up on screen. Appreciate you, Gerard or Jared, saying you and this other podcast, Beyond Point. You rock, dude. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Do you think Hawk plays Sunday? I have no idea. I've been saying he's been playing all week on the channel, but after hearing KOC talk today, I think it's maybe looking a little unlikely. But, I mean, if you don't have Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, Cashman, I mean, I understand the Lions don't have Hutchinson, but it's still going to be an uphill battle. Oh, no, that's good like that. Vikings fan saying Blake Cashman, backup linebacker in the middle. Not this year. Cashman's been the starter. He's been great. Yeah. Yeah, let's dive into it. So we're going to be diving into what the Vikings need to do to beat the Lions, and then also mailbag coming up. The Vikings move to 6-0 this Sunday and beat the Detroit Lions if we'll talk about that on today's show. What's up, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, as we're going to be breaking down this game, Lions versus Vikings in Minneapolis this Sunday, where the Vikings are actually shockingly a 2.5-point favorite, and then also on the second half of today's show, a little mailbag for you guys. But before we dive into it, if you guys can help us out, help increase our lead in the subscriber battle. We have picked up 414 subs this week, but our Lions Talk channel here at Chat Sports has picked up 374. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button, lock us in as your go-to Vikings YouTube channel. And I'm also trying to hit 37K before game time this Sunday. So hit that sub button. Now, the Vikings will win Sunday if they are the more physical football team. And it is time to bully the bully. Kevin O'Connell has talked about this dating back to the summer. The Vikings need to be a bit more physical football team. And my biggest gripe with this football team under Kevin O'Connell over the past couple of years, it's been to, finesse. It's been beating you on the outside. It hasn't been a physical downhill feel, and I think that type of football team translates a whole lot more to later on in the year. And you have a great test this Sunday, as the Lions are the most physical football team in the NFL. If you match their physicality and you don't get pushed around, the Vikings will win this Sunday. And, the Lions, what's their MO? What do they like to do? Everybody knows it. They like to run the damn football, and they have been the best running team in the National Football League this year besides the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously they got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But on 165 carries, they have 780 yards, 4.8 yards per clip, yards per game, 157.8 on the ground, and they have 9 rushing touchdowns. When they get down there in the red zone, they want to get downhill. They want to punch that in with Montgomery or just give it to, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs, who's also another fantastic back that they have. But their calling card, what they like to do is win on first and second down, get you the third and short, kill you with play action, but it all starts here. It all starts with the run game. So the Vikes got to be ultra aggressive on first and second down to get them in third and longs. But I did find this quote from Kevin O'Connell after the game, and it was so very interesting. He says, you better buckle up, because if you don't, we are going to beat you with a lot more than passing concepts and trick them up defenses and schemes by flow. We want to be able to put the pen down and say, we're running right at you on second down against the Giants in the red zone, and we are going to walk the ball into the end zone. I absolutely love that from Kevin O'Connell. And I think the Vikings and us fans, we're going to find out a lot about this football team on Sunday. It's a great litmus test for this group. Like, you have a team that necessarily should be your kryptonite. As the Vikings, I don't really think they have been a physical football team under O'Connell. But the Detroit Lions, they are the most physical football team. So where this game gets won is in the trenches. And I think it starts with our own offensive line going up against the Lions' defensive line here. Now, I'm looking at Christian Darrisaw, Brandell, Bradbury, Ingram, Brian O'Neill. Even though I've been saying I think Jordan Addison is set up to have a massive game with no Aaron Jones most likely, you got to get this run game going. And you have to be able to dominate up front, because the Lions, they don't have their main guys. They lost their veteran defensive tackle, Kyle Pecco. They also lost Aiden Hutchinson. The Vikings' offensive line should dominate up front. That should be the calling card after this game. That should be what my main talking point is in the postgame show, is the Vikings were the way more physical team. They were able to establish the run when the Lions were not. And if you look back at who the Vikings have played this season, they have already handled some of the most physical teams in the league. Like the Texans and the Niners, like if you just say, hey, rank for me the top 5 most physical teams in the NFL, it's probably Ravens, Lions 1 and 2, and then it's probably the Niners and the Texans at 3 and 4. The Vikings already dismantled those teams, but now you got another big-time test against the Detroit Lions this week. Now, I do have this stat for you guys, which is, hate showing this, but it is a very concerning statistic. 14.5 of Detroit's set of downs reach 3rd and long, meaning it needs 7 or more yards. That's the lowest rate in the league. The Lions are fantastic on 1st and 2nd downs. And I always think you can give a team credit when the other team knows what you want to do. Like teams know the Lions want to run on 1st and 2nd down. No duh. We're talking about it. I'm sure the defensive coordinators in the league are talking about it. But they are able to still establish the run game. They keep you on your toes with play action, and they don't get in this 3rd and longs. Only 14.5% of downs for the Lions reach 3rd and long. That is going to be incredibly hard for the Vikings to get them in that situation. But if you're able to, we should be in for success this Sunday. And, I'm looking at the, Lions offensive line here. They're stacked. I mean, Decker, Glasgow, Ragnow, Zeitler, and Penei Sewell, the best right tackle in the league. Like the Vikings, front 5 are going to have their hands full. Andrew Van Ginkel, Bullard, Harrison Phillips, Jerry Tillery, Jonathan Grenard. You got to stop the run on 1st and 2nd downs. Even guys like Pace and Grugier Hill stepping in for Blake Cashman, they're going to need to have big-time games. And this game overall, it will be won up front. It will be won in the trenches. This is an NFC North battle. Normally these games, whoever dominates the trenches, they end up winning these games. The Vikings are going to need to do that this Sunday. You're going to need to establish a run. You're going to be able to take away the run. If you do that with what you have on the outsides, the Vikings should handle the Detroit Lions. But I'll ask you guys this. Will the Vikings be able to stop the run on Sunday? This is the biggest question. This is the biggest storyline heading into the game. Let me know your thoughts down below. Y for yes or an N for no down below in the comments section. I think they will be. I think the Vikings will dismantle the Lions this Sunday. I got 31-16. But coming up next, we'll dive into a mailbag where I answer questions from you guys. But first off, I want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Game Time. If you guys download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, you guys will get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Now, my favorite feature of the Game Time app is the Views from Your Seat feature, which gets you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you even buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Scolger saying, do you think the Lions will make a move for Max Crosby or Myles Garrett? I think there's definitely a chance. I just don't know how aggressive the Lions are going to want to be. I think they will be somewhat aggressive, but I don't know if it's on the level of going out and getting a Max or a Myles Garrett. I honestly think the Lions are probably going to be calling about guys like a Carl Granderson, edge rusher for the Saints, or like a even former Viking, Zadarius Smith of the Cleveland Browns. Also, I don't think the Browns or Raiders are just going to move off two of the better football players in the National Football League in Crosby or Garrett, but I definitely see the Lions making a move at that edge spot. But Harvey, what up, Harvey? How you doing? Saying, why would you do with this first round pick this year? Why would you trade it away? I think the argument would be is, if the Vikings are as good as we think and they're going to be drafting in that, 25 to 32 range, like who you draft in the first round next season probably isn't going to start. And you don't want to waste a 5-0 start because, sometimes teams just catch lightning in a bottle. And, sometimes the team just has a special feeling around them this year. And maybe that's where the Vikings are at, where they're just like, no matter how bad or how good they play, they will end up getting a victory. So I would be fine with them trading away their first-round pick, but it would have to be for a blue chipper. And it would probably want it to be on the defensive line. Jeffery Simmons, Send that first, send a fifth, and you get that big fella on the Minnesota Vikings. Baraki coming in saying, are you concerned about the physicality of the Lions? No doubt about it. Again, this is my biggest gripe with the Vikings this offseason, or in the years past with Kevin O'Connell. They are not a physical football team. Yes, I'm concerned about the Lions' physicality. They kick the crap out of teams. I mean, you go throw on the tape of what they did to the Cowboys last week. They treated them like a JV team. I mean, they were running pitch-back passes, hooking ladders to Penei Sewell in the fourth quarter. They did not respect the Dallas Cowboys, and they will try to get that same mojo, that same vibe heading into this matchup this weekend. But I got faith in Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores getting these boys ready to go to, obviously match the physicality of the Lions. But Brendan coming in saying, is Aaron Jones playing? Don't have word at the time we're filming this video, but I'm going to assume not. I think the Vikings making a move for Cam Akers was a huge indicator that he will be out this week and probably week 8 on a short week against the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm going to say Aaron Jones returns to the U.S. Bank Stadium week 9 against the Colts, but yeah, most likely not. He's not going to play. But Rocky with another question saying, what would Dexter Lawrence cost? I think he's probably going to cost 2 first-round picks. And also, I just don't think the Giants are going to make him available. I think the Giants are probably viewing their team as like, we got Andrew Thomas, we got Dexter Lawrence, we got these blue chippers, we got these foundational pieces. We just need to get everything else around them right. Them moving off Dexter Lawrence would be a mistake, in my opinion. And plus, he did just restructure his contract to help out the Vikings, there. But, I think Dexter Lawrence, he's been fantastic this season. 7 sacks, 24 pressures. He can get it done in the run game and the pass rushing department. So, I would love it. I just do think it's going to be incredibly, incredibly unlikely that he gets dealt to any team, not just the Minnesota Vikings. But, yeah, Scolger saying, do you think Lions will make a move for Crosby or Garrett? Yeah, we already answered that. I just think they'll be, in the more minuscule move department. I think it's more guys like Zadarius Smith, Carl Granderson around there. But Eric Mott saying, if we may target a DT in draft, why not just get a proven guy right now? Yeah, those are my thoughts, Eric. I totally agree. Like, if you're going to go draft a defensive lineman, now, obviously, you can make the argument, well, we would have that guy on a rookie deal, and if he pops, we could have a blue chipper at the defensive line on a rookie contract, build a star-studded team around him. Kind of the same argument you make for the quarterback position, but man, I would love Jeffery Simmons. Jeffery Simmons. Speak it into existence. You will be a Minnesota Viking, hopefully by the trade deadline, which I think is Election Day. I think it's like early November, but we'll have to wait and see. Last question coming in from Harvey saying, do you think the Vikings extend Sammy D and get JJ to sit another year? This is the question, right? I mean, this is the topic of conversation that we'll probably talk about all offseason long, but kind of where I stand right now, Harvey, I don't mean to just brush off your question, but I'm not going to give a stance on it until we see the full season. Like, I'm going to need to see how Sam Darnold plays later on in the year because a lot of quarterbacks have a good month run. A lot of quarterbacks have even a good 3-month run. But can you do it for an entire season? Can you put your best ball in the playoffs? Still got question marks around Darnold. If I had to predict it right now, I would actually say JJ probably starts week 1 next season. You got him on a rookie contract. Clearly that was the plan by Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell for the long haul. So if I had to call it right now, I think they let Sammy D walk. Maybe it's a sign and trade. Maybe it's not. We'll have to wait and see. But, if they do extend Sam Darnold, I'm cool with JJ getting the Jordan Love treatment. Have him sit for 3 years, put more weight on his frame, dive into the playbook more. I'd be all in, but, don't really have a good answer for you right now. But speaking about the game on Sunday, let me know who you got. Give me a V for the Vikes or give me an L for the Lions. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments section. If you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter, there it is, at Pat Sieps. I'll give you guys a follow right back. But thank you so much for watching today's show. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes. Alrighty, let us know who you guys got. Reen, Mark, M. Mac, Eric Lapointe, all in the building. Shout out to you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you, Arnold, Kyle. Applying pressure. Shout out to you. I hope not. But we are going to sign off here. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching today's show and appreciate all the birthday wishes as well. But we will see you guys Sunday, about an hour 15 before kickoff. So tune in then. Our watch parties are a ton of fun if you guys haven't joined already. But tune in then. We're going to be posting a video here on the channel in about 30 minutes or so. So also check that out if you guys would like. But we'll see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.